Hello, welcome to the academyofworship.org YouTube channel. My name's Chris, and today we're talking about how you can use dotted eighth delay, also known as how you can sound just like the Edge from U2. Now, if you listen to any modern music, whether it's worship music or popular music on the radio, it doesn't matter. You've heard dotted eighth note delay. The easiest way to describe dotted eighth note delay, if you don't already know, it's a delay that falls between the beats. Not to put too fine a point on it. Now, I'll demonstrate it a few times and you'll kind of get the idea. With dotted eighth note delay, it's not so much the music theory behind it that you need to know. It's how to use it in tempo, how to pick your guitar if you're using it on a guitar, or if you're using it on some other transient source, whether it's a vocal or whether you're using it on a snare drum or something else that has a sharp attack on it. You need to know how to place the dotted eighth note delay in the music that you're playing. In the opening example of this video, I actually used two different types, or what I consider to be the two main ones you're going to use. There was a slow one with lots of space so you could hear the delay repeats, and then there was a really fast one that kind of gets in the middle of all of it and makes it sound like you're picking twice as fast as you really are. So let's go take a look over at my pedal board. You'll see that I'm using a TC Electronic Flashback X4 delay pedal. I like it because it kind of combines the best of both worlds. This isn't a review of that pedal, but it gives you 3 presets and it gives you a tap tempo so that you can kind of have some choices between delay types. The first thing you're really going to need to make it easy to use a dotted eighth delay is a tap tempo. Right here on this pedal, you'll see with my foot, you're going to see the camera shaking around a bit. That's the tap tempo button. So if I tap this in, you'll notice that my picking is in time with the song. So I'm playing without the delay. With delay. So picking has a lot to do with it. Now, if I was to pick twice as fast but never touch the delay, you get this. It becomes much more of a wash and doesn't really have definition. So when you're tapping in the tempo of the song and you're playing a part, especially with dotted eighth delay, you have to make sure it breathes or has room for those delays to go somewhere. So in the beginning song that I did, I actually let things ring out. So it went. You'll notice that my note choice for the ringing out part was actually some high notes. I was fretting something up high on my high E string. That helps the delays carry out. So when you're choosing a part, you got to make sure that you're choosing a part that sounds right with the delay. If I was just doing this, it's just a mess of notes. It doesn't sound the way that it should sound. So make sure that when you're choosing a part, whether it's a part that's pre-written or maybe you're coming up with a part on the spot to fill a need, just make sure that you're letting the delay do its job. Now, if you're playing a faster song, the delay does the same thing. It's just much quicker. So it's really good for single note leads or things like that where you want a little bit of space in the part, but maybe you don't want to overdo it. So if the tempo is something faster like this, 1, 2, 3, 4. So you can see how it would add dimension. Let's go over to the pedal and talk about the settings. Right now, I have the delay level actually about 50-50. I'm actually using a tape style delay. The delay repeats get a little bit darker as they repeat. It has a little bit of modulation on it. This pedal happens to have a bunch of sounds and types of delays on it, but you can do it with any pedal that has a tap tempo. And side note, you can do this with a delay pedal that does not have a tap tempo. The Edge is a good example. When he first started using delay and making it huge, he didn't have a tap delay. So he had to manually dial it in. But in modern technology, we have the benefits of a tap pedal on our delays, or the ability to add a pedal that would give us tempo control of our delays at our feet. So when you tap your foot in time with the song, it's generally in the right tempo. I have the feedback on the pedal down a little bit. I didn't want it to keep feeding back over itself over and over again. That's the amount of repeats you get off of a delay pedal. You'll notice there's a delay time knob. When you tap on the tempo button, it ignores that. You want to make sure that with any delay, you're setting the delay level appropriately. That's just how loud the repeats are. In the case of the song at the intro, I had them set pretty loud so you can hear them. You may notice that it gets a little too washy when you're playing, or maybe your part isn't as defined. If you notice that when you're playing, you can't hear the definition of the notes you're playing, turn the delay level down a little bit. That'll sit just behind your guitar or whatever instrument you're playing, and it'll allow your actual part to come out much better. Similarly, if you hear a lot of wash, even with the delay level down, and it's just kind of sitting behind everything and doesn't sound quite right, then you may want to turn the feedback knob, or maybe it's called repeats, turn it down a little bit, and that takes away some of the repeats that are happening. If you want a very washy guitar sound and you want it to be washed out, turn these things up. Now, I turned the feedback up, but I didn't touch the delay level because I felt like it was pretty good. And notice how it'll sit behind my guitar almost like a pad. So there you go. That's pretty long. So there are times and circumstances where that's appropriate. But if you need to create that wash, crank up the feedback knob. Now, to be fair, the feedback knob or the repeats knob on your delay doesn't really care if you're using a quarter note delay, an eighth note delay, a dotted eighth delay. It doesn't care. It'll wash things out no matter what kind of delay you're using. With a dotted eighth delay, you'll still notice that that wash has a tempo to it, has a repeat pattern to it that's different if you set it the other ways. So again, with dotted eighth delay, it's what you play that really stands out when you're using a dotted eighth delay. Honestly, there's not a whole lot more to it. It's what you play and some of the settings on your dotted eighth. Because you'll notice that some parts sound fantastic with dotted eighth delay, but you'll notice that some parts maybe just need a quarter note delay or an eighth note delay. Or maybe if you have one like mine or you're stacking delay pedals, you'll have one set to a dotted eighth and one set to a quarter note, and you'll get kind of a ping pong effect. There's all kinds of things you can do with delay. If you have one delay pedal and it has the capability to have a tap tempo and it has the capability of setting it to dotted eighth notes, read the manual, sometimes that's a hidden feature. Set it, start playing the parts that you normally play, don't change anything, and see how it sits. Sometimes in a song, you're going to want to turn it off during a certain part. Sometimes you may want to turn it on for a certain part. Delay's not a leave it on forever and ever thing, even though I do that a lot. It's a tool that enhances what you're playing either on guitar or whatever else you're doing. So go check it out. Maybe you haven't really played around with a dotted eighth delay setting, or maybe you haven't played with the knobs. Either way, I encourage you to do the thing I always say, twist some knobs, flip some switches, and I'll see you next time. Have a good one.